Good morning, everybody. You are tuned to Computers 2K Now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Manon, your host for the next couple of hours, along with Nick.
Good morning.
Good morning. And Spence is here.
Good morning.
And Mike is here.
Last but not least.
Good. Yep. Not least at all.
No. That would be Nick.
Our number.
Excuse me.
Come on.
I was first today.
Our number is 919-518-9773. Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And this morning's show is made possible by vMix Software, Telestream's Wirecast software, and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. It's cold.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Yeah. Mike, Nick said yesterday or the day before, they said, I didn't have to move from New York for this.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Yeah, but this is, Nick, it's going to be over soon, which is the good thing.
Yeah, well, I guess.
This is an anomaly. It's not normally like this for a long, extended period of time. So
Gotcha.
It's still cold.
It is still cold. I mean, it's when I first moved down here, you remember this probably, Amnon, early 90s when we had that cold snap that was several days below zero or close to zero in single numbers during the day and -2 at night. And we had people frozen pipes and just it was almost a health emergency because of all the freezing problems everywhere because houses were not built for it. So.
Yeah, but like you said, it passes. And this too shall pass. It may stay with us a few days, but I still don't see anything stuck anywhere. It's all just falling down. So what else is going on?
Nothing. That's it. We can leave.
No.
I'm trying to reconfigure my screen cap here. So if I'm distracted, I apologize.
Hey, Nick. So you put up a server.
No, I mean, Brian did. I didn't.
Right, but you're involved with it. I mean, for gaming.
Yeah, I mean, I really haven't been. Yes.
And how do you rate it? How do you like it? I mean, is it what you expected?
I haven't really been into it to look at it at all yet. I don't really know. Brian set it up, and we've done very, very simple tests with it. So I haven't had a chance. I need to get the login information to log in and actually look at it and see what the resources are.
But I mean, as a user from the gamers that come and play games,
it's been fine. Tested it once. It's been fine.
Good.
I wish I had more.
Oh, it's okay. It's all right. It's all right. It's okay.
You need some 1U servers, Nick?
No. We bought a server off eBay, Brian and I, for the podcast to host some video game servers with, and
they got a nice server.
Yeah, we got a good deal on it from eBay. I think total is $550 or something like that. Let me see here. I can You give me a minute. I can pull
Spence, do you have some 1U racks?
I got a couple of them. Yeah.
How big, how deep are they? Are they real deep?
Yeah. Unfortunately, real deep,
Real noisy?
real noisy. Yeah. Jet engine noisy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why are you asking, Mike?
I mean, I've been thinking about putting together a remote broadcasting system, and I thought about getting some
Put it where?
1U racks, but they would have to almost be fanless, and the server racks are very deep compared
Yeah.
to broadcasting racks.
Oh, yeah. But where are you going to put it?
Well, if I
At
ever
home?
do it, which it's not likely, I'm going to put it into a traveling rack case.
Oh. So you
So
mean
Nick
something...
can walk in, set it down, plug it in, and go on the air.
You want to go with some embedded servers, some small fanless servers. They've got some amazing stuff out there.
You
These-
need an NUC, the
these-
Intel box.
I mean, that's kind of what I was thinking too. It would be nice if there were a way to, I mean, there's always a way to mount that in a rack so that it's secure and not bouncing all over, and you can leave it wired up.
I believe they sell a NU, like they sell for the Mac Mini. Steve Haywood's got one. It's the 1U Mac Mini mount, and you put one on each side. They probably sell something similar for the Intel NUC.
Well, now, actually, you just made a good point.
I always make good points.
That's rarity.
Yeah, they do. There's a whole bunch of them online. Here's
Link up a rack mount for the Mac Mini. I wouldn't mind using a Mac because I mean they just work.
Well, there's one for the Intel NUC, which would be kind of what you're looking for. You can put 3 of them in that case. But then yeah, the Mac Mini one, Mac.
I was today for the specials. I was up extra early today, and I wound up having a chance to go look at Fry's, and they had a deal on an Intel embedded i3. It's actually an Intel hardware, and it was like $200 with a fairly decent, a small machine. It's not meant for lots of intensive video processing, but it was a nice little fanless bunch of USB 3 and USB C ports, display port, HDMI. So we'll see it later, but there's a lot of stuff. I've been getting emails from a company that sells embedded stuff that I checked out one time, and they've got it looks like a big heat sink basically, so it can run fanless.
Mike, what processor is this thing should have?
I guess it depends on whether ultimately it needs to be able to do video. For audio, It probably could get by with anything that it could maintain Skype.
Okay, I may have one for you.
Was it a rack mount or what?
It's a rack mount. It's probably a little bit deeper than a DBX.
Interesting.
It's really short, really short, but it's got a Pentium in it. So for Skype, it'll be fine.
Too well for Skype.
Yeah, but the problem you have is it'll take 3 years to boot.
Well, it depends what you put on it. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's a problem with the rack-mounted servers I've got, is that they go through their IBM machines, and their boot is so long.
Yeah.
It's just incredible. There's no way to speed it up. There's nothing you can turn off.
So how fast are these NUCs?
Oh, they're extremely fast. You put an M.2 drive in them. I mean, you think about pressing the power button, the computer's already at the desktop.
What is the M.2 drive?
Those are the SSDs that are they're the little chip SSDs that slide in. It's kind of like a PCIe SSD per se. It's an M.2 slot. Yeah. Some of the NUCs have it. It's a
Mike,
what's the word? I'm not describing it right, but
Mike, it's like a memory DIMM, but it's mounted.
It connects
vertically.
to the motherboard instead of through a SATA port.
But
correct.
It's vertically. It's not sitting flat on the motherboard. It's like the connector is on the edge, so it's longwise, and you just stick it straight down. Yeah.
let's see, the Intel NUC. Here is a version with a. Actually, this has got a. This one you have to put a SATA drive in, which is fine. You put an SSD in it for $120 on Amazon. Oh, it's got a Celeron though. Let's see.
Well, again, it depends what you put on the machine because it could boot pretty fast, even with the Celeron.
Yeah, this one's not that old. It was launched in Q1 of 2015. The problem you've got is this freaking Windows 10 is just
Don't put
on a
10.
slower computer. It's atrocious. It takes 15 minutes to boot and open all of its stupid applications and everything.
It's terrible.
Well,
Oh, I see. So this rack mount kit you posted was for the Mac Mini.
The Amazon one was.
Yeah.
The first one is for the NUC, and you actually take the NUC out of its case and slide it into this rack mount enclosure. That's how this one works. It appears.
How quiet are these Mac Minis? Are they really quiet?
They don't make any noise. I've got a super, super old one that I don't think would be sufficient. It's probably got a single Pentium.
That one I was talking about is the NUC i3
Mhm.
barebone, $239.
That's a good price.
Yeah, it's an i3 7th generation i3. I don't know what it comes with. I'm trying to see what if it's bare bone, it's not going to have you got to put an SSD in it. You got to put how much memory it'll take.
I mean, look at the bright side. If you get a Mac Mini, it always works. There'll never be any downtime.
It doesn't
The
need
problem
any
you have to-
power. It runs
Mac
on
Minis are expensive.
works on cosmic energy.
Yeah. You don't even need to add memory to it because Macs make such better use of memory than real computers do. Some idiots.
You actually can get you make a good point here, Mike. You can get a certified refurbished Mac Mini on Amazon from Apple for $280, and it's you have to update the RAM. I love this. I love this about Apple. This has an i5, a 2.3 gigahertz i5 with 2 gigabytes of memory.
Wow.
That's like getting an i7 and putting 512 megs of RAM in it.
I know, but they don't.
Oh God, are you kidding me?
Don't you remember what Brian said? He said they make better use of the memory than Intel computers
So
do.
stupid. Like, oh, I got this great car, but I put corn syrup in the gas tank to drive it.
So
But
anyway,
they can sell a whole bunch of those little form factor. I think HP makes some as well. The NUC I've used. I like the NUC.
where'd you use one?
That's we bought a couple in high school for the broadcasting group. We actually used one for Skype mobily.
I didn't know they even made them until about a month ago.
Oh God, they've been out for a while. They introduced the Intel NUC, the NUC, and their little stick computer probably 5, 8, 6 years ago, something like that. I mean, they've been out for a while.
The real challenge that I have with my idea is obviously the keyboard, mouse, and monitor.
Yep, that's a real problem.
why is that a challenge, Mike?
Because if I get a rack mount computer, put it in a travel case, where do I put the keyboard, mouse, and monitor?
What you do is
can-
you set it up so you're doing remote desktop access to it from a laptop. You
Actually, it's a
control
good idea.
it. Just toggle between different machines.
That actually
now
is
you
the
got
solution.
2 computers.
Well, you'd have a laptop
You
anyway.
have a laptop anyway, and just use it. You're using it for the show, for whatever you're doing for the show itself, your content, and you just toggle to the remote desktop and do whatever you have to do, and come back.
Yeah, remote desktop. Anyway, you don't understand the people in the radio business are really challenged technically.
Well, if that challenges them, then they're not going to be able to handle the rest of it anyway. So
Wow,
Yeah, good
and that's a good point, and that's kind of the struggle here.
Mike, even if they didn't know how to do it and they didn't have it, and you wanted them to have everything in like a compact one package, you can get a small keyboard which is very thin, which will be able to fit in there, you can get a monitor like I just got here, the 7-inch. You can get a 9-inch. I mean, because you don't have to sit in front of it and do things, right? You have to. The only reason you need a monitor is to be able to set it up in the beginning, but then you let it sit there and do its job. Am I right?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's just an idea at this
Yeah,
point.
and
I actually bought some racks from Guitar Center that have a shelf on them to sit the laptop up on top.
Yeah.
And that's probably going to be a better way to go. I don't remember if there's a rack space beneath it or what, but
Yeah.
ultimately I could build something to encapsulate all of it. I can buy rack rails. I could build it, but the problem with building stuff is that when you make it out of wood, the wood to be sturdy has to be pretty heavy, and that's not what you want. You want something that's more lightweight than that if you can get it.
When you're ready to do this, talk to me.
I'll probably, again, I don't know if it'll ever happen. We'll see. It's something I've always thought about doing, because if it were all wired up, because I was picking about the radio people because I'm talking about Nick, but it just seems to me that it would be nice that, for example, part of the sales pitch of radio is immediacy. I mean, if it takes you half a day to go out and set up something, then that limits your ability to go out and to originate content from a particular event. And if you can go out and make it easy, and even if Nick doesn't have to go set it up, if he can let one of the other guys go do it themselves, that frees him up. And again, these things, any impediment to getting on the air reduces the number of opportunities you have to get on the air, even as slight as it may be. So the idea is to make it simple. You make it simple, and it happens more often. And particularly whenever you have some people who are not particularly technical, who need to be able to do it on their own.
Yeah, and the point Mike's making is so that the one person can just go and do it. If it requires two people, it's useless.
Okay, so
no, it's not useless. It just doesn't happen as often, because now you got to synchronize two people, and sometimes one may be in Raleigh, one may be in Wilmington.
Yeah.
All right, so here you are talking about this, and you have a lab. What are you going to put in that rack mount computer that is different than just having a second laptop?
Probably nothing.
Okay, so you get a second laptop. And
We'll
then
just get a first laptop and set it up on. I haven't even opened these stands yet. I don't even know what they look like. I may open one here in just a minute to see what it looks like. I've been meaning to do that.
Because instead of all this rack mount and all that, and heavy and wood and case and all that, just another laptop.
Well, you still do need the rack mount.
You got to have the rack mount, because you need a rack mount mixer to go in it for mix minus and for
headphone amp.
Yeah, the idea, Amnon, is to.
Okay.
In fact, I hadn't even really thought about it, but if we put a barracks in there, we could actually make a radio station in about a 4-unit rack.
Yeah, that would be the one power cord and an Ethernet cable.
Yep, in your own ear, and it would be high quality, very, very high quality.
I'm wondering.
You got a headphone rack mount. Rack mounted headphone amplifier.
The rack mount power supply.
Right.
It's not something that you would want to use a software mixer like Jorvik was using that's got all the mix minuses and everything.
No.
Something meter.
I've never seen one of those that I would give
something
you a nickel
meter.
for.
What did he call it? Voice meter.
Yeah, the problem with software is there's no way to monitor it. And I've had some comments made about software mixing. I mean, it'll work.
I don't know. I'm
just
just
technical. But the problem you have is when something doesn't work with software mixing, sometimes the solution is restart the mixer, which
that's a mix.
Really a solution. Yeah. I mean, restart the computer is not a solution.
Agreed.
When something like that is going on. And if you got one of those little Barracks 302s, if you plug a microphone in and turn the knob up, it's on. If it's not on, then you have another problem. It's not the mixer. It's the cable of the microphone. Probably the microphone.
Well, that's an interesting project, Mike.
One of the many things.
Yep. Here's a story, something that doesn't, I don't understand how it's. Here's a story. Pirated video streams of televised National Football League games are widespread on Facebook and on Google's YouTube service. Widespread. Yep. How? Here we are doing a weekly show, and every now and then Nick is trying to show us something, how something works, and he gets a snippet of a recorded game somewhere that may be a month old for about 10 seconds, and that thing gets flagged right away. How?
I can tell you why. They just surround it with an Al Jazeera banner.
Nope.
And it never gets touched.
Nope,
No.
You're missing. You're both missing it. Live.
Yeah, I mean,
You're missing it.
why?
Live. You're missing it. That's the key, because it's live. The YouTube's algorithm runs post live video. It's like running it through a translator or something. It's post processed. You have to have someone manually go and look at it live, which is what they start doing.
I see. Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
You didn't happen to see what happened with the UFC event last week?
No.
So this is great. Let me see if I can find the picture of this. Hopefully, I wonder if this screenshot will get you banned.
Interesting.
Let me see. I'm trying my hardest to pull up a screenshot without. Okay. Here we go. Oh, this media cannot be played. I guess they've cracked it all down. So this guy on Twitch.
Oh,
yeah. If you've ever been,
I
on
read
Twitch
the
TV,
story. Yeah.
So if you've ever been on Twitch TV, it's a website for people to stream video games, and it's common that somebody would be streaming a video game, and what you would do is you'd be in the bottom right hand corner of it. Like you were showing it off as if it was, if you're playing the game, you're sitting there, oh, look at me, I'm playing the game in the bottom right-hand corner of the video. So this guy on Twitch actually illegally streamed the UFC event by placing himself in the bottom right-hand corner of the stream with a controller as if he was interacting with the characters, when it turns out this was the real deal UFC fight, and the whole fight went on. He didn't get banned.
There he goes. This video now is going to be flagged.
What?
Today's show is going to be flagged.
It shouldn't be flagged from this picture, but
well, yeah.
But that because it's hard to do that stuff live. I mean, YouTube's been working on it, but the problem they've had is it just bans it acts as everything.
So it looks to whoever is watching it, it looks like, oh yeah, he's playing.
If you're not paying attention, that's what it looks like. It's very simple to tell that, hey, this is some bogus right off the bat. But it may trip you up.
So who is using Patreon? I know we don't.
Thought about it.
But Patreon is changing their fee structure to make donors cover payment processing fee, standardized to 2.9%, plus an additional 35 cents for every pledge, and Patreon users are furious. Despite Patreon's hype that this is a good thing for creators, few of these actually seem to agree, and there's already a growing backlash on social media. Many fear that their net return will be lower because the extra fees levied on Patreons are causing them to either reduce the amount they pledge or withdraw completely. For those patrons supporting only a few creators, the effect won't be large. But for those who make small donations to many creators, this could amount to a hike of almost 40% in the amount charged to their credit cards. People are pissed.
Yeah, as they should be.
Yeah. I mean, just, I know, on PayPal, it always used to be like this, that if somebody pays you, then you pay the fee, just like you have a credit card. If you
like
have
the gas station or anybody else.
Yeah. If you accept credit cards, you have to pay a fee. And that's normal. So the same thing is here. It's all credit cards. So if somebody is giving you $10, you get $9.70 cents, whatever it is. And that's something that you do in business. But to suddenly drop it on them, that's bad. I know that Dr. Tatiana started using Patreon for her show, and she got a few of them. It'll be interesting to talk to her Monday and see what's her take.
Very efficient service.
I set it up a long time ago right before they had the breach,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, no, I don't want to be involved with this.
Yeah, I mean, we've looked at it a couple times for infection. The problem you have is if you don't have a whole bunch of people, it's not worth the time.
Right. We have a bunch of people, but they're not into that.
But you don't have a bunch of people on Patreon. That's part of the problem.
Right. Yep. And music rules, I guess. YouTube plans to introduce a paid music service in March, according to people familiar with the matter. A third attempt by parent company Alphabet Inc. to catch up with rivals Spotify and Apple. The new service could help unease record industry executives who have pushed for more revenue from YouTube. Warner Music Group, one of the world's 3 major record labels, has already signed on, said the people who asked not to be identified, discussing private talks. Isn't that something? People who ask not to be identified, discussing private talks. YouTube is also in talks with 2 others, Sony Music Entertainment and Universal Music Group, and Merlin, a consortium of independent labels. So they say we can't lose this. We have to get in on that too. We got to make money here.
Yeah, no
too.
thanks.
What?
No, thank you.
Well,
no, thank you.
right. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how it works out. Didn't we hear that Spotify's profits are going down and all that because people are not, because it's available everywhere else? People are listening
I don't know.
to free.
I love Spotify. I'd recommend it to anybody.
Isn't there, what was it? It's SoundCloud is having a problem now or something financially?
SoundCloud's always been bankrupt. They've never made any money.
But it's gotten a lot worse.
They'll be out of business before long, it appears. And I remember talking with Mike a while ago about it, years ago, and it was just, I mean, they never made any money. Then I don't see how they ever will.
So they're always on grants?
I don't know how they make the money. I don't believe they charge. I guess they make it through advertising.
919-518-9773. Computers 2K voice on Skype. Call us. Let's talk. You say, Spence?
I've always used Stitcher for podcasts just because I've always had it. And it's very simple to use. And I just hope they stay around.
It's okay to use. It's very hard to update. So Stitcher is still there. I don't know that it works on everything, but TuneIn they are responsive. When something changes, you let them know, they fix it. You can fix it.
Okay, perfect. How do I get a hold of TuneIn?
I can send you the email. I don't know.
Because the infection podcast has stopped working on TuneIn, and we can't figure out why.
Quite a few emails with them, and they always, they respond. Bang. Okay, yeah, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
But with TuneIn, you can get in and change things. I had to change the port because I changed the port that we're doing it from, so it stopped, and I went in there and changed it, and it didn't take, and then I called them and they said, "Oh yeah, we fixed it."
I don't think I have an account.
Oh no, you have to. Wait a second. What do you, so
You don't make an account for TuneIn.
Yes, you. No, as a creator, you do. I mean,
You do not.
how do they
Absolutely
get
not. You fill
your?
out a
How do
form.
they get your information to stream?
You fill out a form. We do not have an account for TuneIn. I can
Yeah,
guarantee
I
you
do.
that.
I mean, I
They have a
log
submission form.
into it.
Forgot my password. You do not have it. There's no account associated with this email.
Interesting.
We do not have an account.
Well, maybe that's the problem. They don't know who to
No. It's
communicate.
It's been on there for 2.5
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, I mean, it was the same thing with the audio from here. It was what now? 5, 6, 7 years, no problem. But then I decided I'm going to change the port because there was something with that port that I needed for something else because they were using the standard port. So I changed it to a weird port, and of course it stopped working. So it took about 3-4 days. You know, you would think. Andrew.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine. Did you fix your heater?
Yes, I did.
Good. And you're still talking, so everything is fine.
I'm still talking. Everything is fine. How are you, Mike?
Oh, I'm okay, Andrew. How are you?
Terrible. Thank you for asking.
What was wrong with your heater?
One of the relays went out.
Who fixed it?
I did.
How?
I took it out and I put a new one in
Where'd you get it?
at the plumbing supply shop, Whitestone Plumbing.
Okay. How much did it cost?
$5.
I recently replaced the capacitor and the start relay on mine because one of them went out while I wasn't home, and the charges were absolutely insane. So I did.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
we had a number of problems every year. Apparently, my thermocouple goes out, so I have like 4 of them in stock now. So I first thought it was that because the pilot wasn't lighting, so I changed that. The pilot lit. Just not getting the burners wouldn't come on. So, I went down the line and I changed the most inexpensive stuff first.
So now you're a mechanic.
Now I'm a plumber.
Yeah, you're a plumber too.
HVAC specialist.
Thing about having a 114, 15-year-old house,
That's fine. It's fine. So you would think that selling selling Echo around the world is simple. Well, not that much. Let's look at it. Amazon is launching 3 of its Echo devices with Alexa in 80 additional countries. A major international expansion for the company's smart speaker and voice-based assistant. Because remember, I mean, yeah, you can get the Echo, and I don't know how it will work, let's say, in Moldavia. I mean, every country has to have their own services for Alexa. Like in the UK, Alexa sounds like a local with English accent and a lot of information about local stuff. So it's not as simple as taking the device and put it somewhere and talk to it. I don't know if they're blocking IPs that are not associated with the US until they open it up, but 80 countries at once.
Why can't they just learn English, Amnon?
Yeah, I know.
I agree.
Yep. Send ice over there.
No, but here's a real question. How much of a profit gain will it be for Amazon to put the Amazon Echo in Moldova?
I have no idea.
I mean, is this how much revenue is it going to create compared to how much revenue they're going to have to spend in R&D? How much money they're going to have to spend to R&D for all these countries?
Good point. I have no idea, but I would like to think that they did their homework and they figured, okay, yeah, it's going to be worth it. But I don't. You're right. I don't know. Don't know. That's a very, very good point. And you know, I mean, you said they should learn English. As far as I know, programming around the world is done in English. I don't know anybody that programs and writes like C code or whatever in a different language. Am I wrong? Anybody knows? We have people here from around. I think everything in programming and computer, basic computer stuff is done in English. So a lot of people do know some English. Hey, Mike. How many?
Yes, sir.
How many bitcoins did you end up with?
1,000.
Did you see what they're up to?
Yeah, hit 19,000 the last time I checked.
It is
Mike,
ridiculous.
hold on, Mike. You have 1,000 Bitcoin?
Sure, don't you?
I have one.
Well,
It is
let's
just
go to 25.
they are climbing and climbing and climbing. By the same token, there is a lot of theft and hacking into it. And there's one that's called Nice Hash crypto mining marketplace been hacked.
You're saying that people are being hacked on Bitcoin?
Oh, all the time.
No, that's not true. People are not being
I've
hacked.
never heard that.
The exchanges.
Yeah,
are
the
being
exchanges.
hacked.
Right. They
that's
are
not people.
accounts.
And by the way, it's not as big of a problem as it was in the early days. It's gotten a lot more organized. Nick, I mean, I know you had a couple Bitcoins and you played around with it, but it's not as complicated as it used to be.
No, the other week I bought $15 worth of Bitcoin through an app on my phone called Coinbase. And it was extremely simple. But before it used to be a huge pain in the ass. I mean, it was almost impossible.
But here, that place lost 4,736 Bitcoins, amount worth more than 62 million at current prices. And it's been stolen. So they're telling people, users, to change their online passwords.
Yeah, but those Bitcoins can't be used anywhere.
It's what?
Those Bitcoins will not be able to be used anywhere. Those sites report that to
really?
register the ones that dish out the coins, and those coins will be blacklisted and will pretty much not be accepted anywhere. So I mean, they're useless.
So wait, wouldn't that increase the Bitcoin value because there's less Bitcoin available on the market?
Absolutely.
So so the more people hack Bitcoin, the more the price increases of Bitcoin available. I mean, don't you think that's a little bit of a conspiracy?
I mean, it very well could be. I mean, I bought $15 worth of Bitcoin like 2.5 weeks ago. It's up to $37.
Yeah, dude, I spent a couple, I forgot what it was. I was talking to my boss and he's like, let's buy some. So I was like, yeah, let's get like 10 or whatever. And it went up like from $10. I made $500 a couple weeks ago. You know, it's actually unbelievable how the price has shot up. I'm telling people to get into other types of cryptocurrency at this point.
Ethereum.
Well,
a Litecoin or whatever, you know.
Here's something right down your alley, Nick. Valve is ending support for Steam purchases made with Bitcoin.
Anybody's going to end the purchase with Bitcoin.
Yep.
You're going to see this start happening right now because the currency is so volatile that I mean, if I buy a computer through Dell, which is one of the people that Dell computer who lets you purchase stuff with Bitcoin, and it's worth 19,000, and then it crashes to 12,000. I mean, that's just when I go into a coffee shop and hand them $1 for a cup of coffee. That dollar's worth $1 for quite a long time. Inflation doesn't catch up for a while. I don't blame them. They're getting screwed.
On the other end, why would you want to use Bitcoin to purchase something? Because you think about it, if these companies are not updating it to the second or microsecond, which Dell is most likely not doing that, you're losing out on money because let's say something costs, whatever Bitcoin, and you spent it, and within 30 seconds the market went up by 25% or dropped 30%.
Yeah.
That's too much of a risk for me to use any of it.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the problem with it. And they've got this issue now where every time Bitcoin tanks, and by say tanks, I don't mean it'll drop $2,000 or $3,000. All of the exchanges go down because everybody's trying to purchase. So all of the exchanges get knocked out. I mean, it's just,
now, are they going down because people are buying, Nick? Or are
they're going down because people are trying to buy? But it's a joke. I mean, this whole Bitcoin cryptocurrency thing is a total joke.
So if
there's no legitimacy to any of it.
If companies are going to stop accepting it, what is the incentive of growing your Bitcoin collection, so to speak? This is like if you couldn't, so people don't turn them into cash.
Well, it depends. Some people, if it's cheaper because you don't have to pay a transaction fee to turn it into to use Bitcoin as a if you buy something with Bitcoin, you don't pay a transaction fee. If I try to exchange my Bitcoin to cash, like a stock, I'm gonna have to pay some type of fee associated with it. So if I can purchase $20 worth of something via Bitcoin, it's better to do that than to cash out $25, pay the fees, and then pay $20 cash for it.
Well, it just seems to me that if it's not accepted, then it's just like your dollars are not accepted anymore anywhere. So you say, well, why should I go to work and make money? Because they don't accept my money. They want my fingers. Whatever.
Well, that's what's going to happen.
It's an interesting situation.
So I have a topic to discuss, guys.
You got a topic?
I want to talk about Nick and what a jerk he is.
Oh no, I think that's old stuff. It's changed.
Yeah. No. I wanted to ask you guys. Actually, this is why I called in. Have you guys gotten 4K TVs?
No, not me.
Nobody has. Nick, do you have a 4K?
I'm probably gonna go in for Christmas.
Okay, Spence. Oh, he's muted. He probably stepped away. So I just got a 4K TV from my father.
Okay.
I got him the TCL, the one with Roku integrated.
Mm-hmm.
So I had gotten him this in September, and we didn't set it up for a while. He was doing some changes to his apartment, and he needed to kind of keep it in the box. So I finally set it up yesterday, and I have to tell you, it's hit or miss. I think it's really hit or miss. And even with this big buzz with 4K content, it really comes down to multiple things. One, the brand of TV that you bought and how good they are, how good the picture quality is. Service that you're watching on, your internet connection, is it HDR? Is it not? There's so many variables that come into play with this. I was actually surprised at the lack of consistency between multiple contents, like on Netflix. I was watching something that's a Netflix original, and I watched 2 different types of shows, or actually 3 different types of shows, and each of them had a very different picture quality. I don't know if we're there yet.
Well, I mean, I think if you get a 4K now, you are an early adopter. And you have to put up with some.
I don't know. That's not what everybody's saying. Everybody's saying it's 4K.
That was a couple of years ago. You were an early adopter. There's a whole bunch of 4K content. The latest Xbox and PlayStation both support 4K. Netflix, Apple Video, and Amazon all support 4K.
But I think there's a consistency problem from depending on service to service. It's actually way more than HD. When HD content started streaming, there was a consistency overall. you know,
Well-
I kind of compare this, Nick, and you would kind of get the reference. And it's not on this level. This is an exaggeration, but it's a good analogy. Do you remember when HD content, people started doing HD content on YouTube? And
Oh yeah, absolutely.
it was 360 by 640,
Mhm.
and it was, you know, it was on a canvas size for 720.
Yeah.
It's almost, I mean, I sometimes feel that that's what it is. It's upscaled content that they're putting on and calling it Ultra 4K.
Well, there is a lot of upscaled content. There's a whole lot of upscaled content. Luckily, when you're watching stuff like Stranger Things or House of Cards, that is all shot in 4K because Netflix actually knows what they're doing, unlike anybody else.
So that's a good example. So I watched House of Cards in HD. I was just playing around with it,
Mhm.
and it looked phenomenal. And I watched Marvel's Defenders. That's a Netflix exclusive, and that looked terrible. So it's interesting how, depending on the studio and depending on the content, you're getting a very different picture quality.
Yeah. Well, you know, and I think that part of the thing you're running into is you're watching an action show versus House of Cards.
Yeah.
The problem you have with the and this is the big thing, is they're trying to figure out compression, because when you watch any action highly compressed in macro blocks, I mean, it's just mathematically going to scientifically going to macro block every time, because that's what compression does. It sees that the background stays the same, so it stops sending data for those frames. And then when you have a whole bunch of action, the system has to catch up. Everything gets all blurry.
So I'm gonna say something, Nick. When do you think there's going to be one event that airs, and when it airs in 4K, that's when you know we've gotten to it?
It'll be the Super Bowl.
How would that even air in 4K?
It'd have to be streamed. It won't be on a cable
exactly.
system. Yeah. Well, I mean, for example, Amazon streamed their first Thursday Night Football game on Twitch Thursday night.
Did you not see last month's vMix fun show, whatever? They did it in 4K with vMix. They
but
had
I mean,
all the
talking
equipment.
major event.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not that difficult to do. But who on you have to have the hardware on your side, the viewer, to see it. And I couldn't tell the difference. I mean, I kept changing between the 4K, and my monitor is probably not. I don't know if it supports 4K. I went back and forth, and I couldn't see much difference or any difference between 1080.
Almost likely your monitor doesn't support it, but were you doing full screen?
Yeah.
In a little box.
Yeah, I mean, it's full screen on a 27-inch, whatever. I don't know what it is.
And also, how far back were you sitting from the screen? That's the other thing about 4K. You need to be at a certain distance to get optimal, you know. And a lot of people, depending on their space, most people don't sit in the proper, you know. Like, I'll give an example. I have a giant TV in my bedroom. It's a little too big for my bedroom. 65-inch Samsung. I could see the pixels because I'm not at the optimal distance that they recommend.
You're too close to it.
I'm too close to it. I can see pixels on this TV.
So this is only
4K content.
So is 4K is 4K only for people that have a bedroom that is 27 foot long and
no. It depends on, you know, the TV size and where you're sitting and the screen quality and the product quality. It's still very early. I mean, it's not a matured level where HD is, you know, especially now. I think you should not, if you're buying a TV now, you should not buy 1080. You should buy a 4K TV.
Absolutely.
They're inexpensive. They're probably cheaper than 1080 products now.
They're
Everybody's manufacturing 4K. There's no reason not to buy it. But when you buy it, you should do your homework and see, okay, this cheap TV's 4K. What does that mean to me compared to if I spent $200 more and got a better TV?
Yeah, I mean, I was in Walmart the other day and they had some 4K TLC TV for like $329 or something like that. And
it's not bad. That's the one I got my dad. It's not bad at all, but it's not great.
No, exactly. And that's, I mean, to each their own, I guess.
I still say that this is
a fad.
Early adapters. I mean, it'll get to the point where it'll standardize. It's not standard. I mean, people.
I disagree.
like you said, they are bad and they're good. And it may be at the originating point, it may be at the receiving point, and things are still, you know, the manufacturers are trying to come up with something that will be attractive. They have to drop the price so people will buy it, because if people don't buy it, then the content providers are not. You know, it's a circle, and it has to build slowly. And
the FCC is forcing everybody to upgrade their televisions in 5 years. So
this is what I would challenge you with, Amnon. The next time you go to a Target or a Walmart, go to the electronics section
I agree
and
with
see
you.
how many of the TVs on the wall are 4K. Almost all of them will.
Yeah, I agree. Because,
unlike 3D.
Unlike 3D, right.
That was the problem, is there was a very select few TVs. Every TV now is 4K.
Oh.
Will cable catch up, or if they will?
It's not going to. That's the problem. It's going to switch to online. Cable's never going to cut. They're not going to be able to replace it. They're not going to replace everybody's boxes. It'll cost them a fortune.
Also, by the way, I canceled cable.
Oh, there you go.
No more cable. And I upgraded to gigabit Fios.
So you can stream stuff.
I really didn't need to, but it was like $10 more. It was like a really good deal. So I'm paying like $88 for gigabit internet now.
Oh, there you go.
So
it's crazy.
So no TV at all, no dish, no nothing.
No nothing. Just Hulu Live, Netflix, and whatever other streaming service I subscribe to.
So you did cut the cord. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. I realized I wasn't watching cable at all.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
It was a waste of, $140 a month.
And the people that do watch, if they will write down what they are watching at every time, a lot of them will realize that the stuff that they're watching on TV that is available through the antenna, because they're watching their local networks. Not everybody, but a lot of people are like that. I mean, I showed Kathy. I said, "See, you're just watching the local stuff. Everything else is available online." But that's a good segue.
For me,
the article.
I always like to turn on. Yeah, I always like to turn on the news, and you know what? I realized I wasn't watching network news anymore.
Right.
So you're right. If you actually sit down and you think about what you're actually watching, you're going to realize you're not watching anything.
Yeah. And it's very easy to cut the cord.
Fake news.
Fake news. And here it says, by 2030, as many as 40% of Americans will have cut the cord, according to a prediction by a new report by market analyst TDG Research. The percent of U.S. households still shelling out for cable has dropped every year since 2012. If the trend continues on the current path, they predict the percentage of U.S. households subscribing to pay TV will drop to 60% in the next 13 years. Cost is a major driver of this shift. The cost of bundling a few favorite streaming services together still pales in comparison to the average cable bill. They found that 2/3 of cord cutters and cord nevers, people who have never paid for cable, said the service expense was the key reason they do not use legacy pay TV services. There's also a generational shift. 61% of adults aged 18 to 29 say online streaming service are the primary way they watch TV. So this is
a question that I have for Andrew, because since he hasn't been around, and we asked the question, no one has an answer.
Yeah.
We saw a deterioration of copper telephone lines when we reported here years ago, even in our little town here, that the AT&T was losing 5,000 copper lines a month. People were taking them out, going to their cell phone. That erosion is now complete to the point that you, to my knowledge, cannot even order a copper phone line. If you want a phone, they'll put in IP phone, but they won't put in copper. and in 2020, copper is going to be disabled system wide. So what I'm saying is here, we saw that deterioration coming. It was obvious. It was, in fact, at some point, the AT&T embraced it because it's more expensive to maintain copper. My question is, how is it that the cable company is able to justify losing its entire market share? How can they not, from a corporate perspective, how can they not try to preserve their installed base? That's the magic question for me.
Well, the problem is, I don't think that they don't want to preserve it. I don't think that they have the technology to be able to preserve it, and they're not fast enough. You know, the concept, it's a very old school way that they deal with things, where deployment is a slow deployment. Also, they're at the mercy of the municipalities. So if, let's say, Verizon Fios comes out and says, you know what, this is what we're going to do in order to compete, which this was their idea. We're going all IP based. We're going to have a dedicated line for just the tele, which technically this is how they run it, right? It's fiber. So they split that. You have a dedicated X amount of bandwidth allocated to your cable, and then the rest is your internet if you choose to have internet. But I don't think they have the mindset or the corporate structure to adapt as quickly as possible. They can't go at the rate of a Google where they're implementing, you know, just one codec or whatever, one wrapper to deliver HD content. Fios does not have the availability to do that because of their systems. The systems are, you know, it's just a way of handling things where they have this mindset where this is our plan for the next 10, 15, 30 years, and this is what we're sticking to. And when there's a monkey wrench that's thrown in, like IPTV, they don't know how to deal with it.
I don't think they're actively with that. Because they provide, I mean, they've got the technology. What I'm concerned more is the corporate attitude. Let's say, for example, the company where you are now, let's assume just some really stupid, simple numbers. Let's assume you have 1,000 customers. You start losing 5 customers a week. It has been that way for the last 2 to 3 years. Yeah. At some point, isn't there going to be a meeting that says, Andrew, we're losing our customers. What do we need to do? And you know what? We need to survey our customers, find out what they're upset about, and address the problem. Okay, let's do that. You survey your customers. What's the problem? You're too darn expensive. Okay, what would it take to get you to stay as a customer? Well, you need to be providing this channel or that channel, or get rid of ESPN and quit charging me for it. Okay, fine. We understand. We're still going to lose some customers, but we can pick up some. We can pick up more than we're going to lose, and we can stop the erosion. Isn't that the way your business would operate?
It should.
I would assume that they have done that. I'm assuming that they have done that. But you also have to remember the hardware that they have put in place is outdated. And if they cut costs, so now they have outdated hardware that costs them a fortune, and they need to put in new hardware for the next, you know, for the future, 10 years from now.
It seems like the solution.
If they cut costs, does it make sense? I mean, the upkeep is so much for them. I'm not defending them. I'm just trying to think as to why they're slow to deploy. You know, it maybe doesn't make sense for them financially. Maybe it's better for them to lose that 2 or 3 people per week rather than losing. You know,
does it not make more sense for them to all just move to their apps like they do on the Roku and the Fire TV and the Apple TV?
But this is my question.
Well, Spectrum does that, right?
Well, but I'm saying, would it not make sense for me to be able to, for example, right now, if I wanted to go get a cable box, Spectrum would charge me $70 for the basic plan. That's their basic plan they offer. Would it not make more sense for them to charge me $35 a month and give me access to a login and password?
I think Spectrum does that.
They do not do that. Have to buy a cable subscription.
I think Spectrum does that. I think I'm almost certain that one of Xfinity or Spectrum, one of them does that.
Spectrum does not, because I've looked at it. I would love to be able to purchase access to the well, actually, I have access to the app, so that's not really a problem. But they do not. You have to buy a cable package to get access to their mobile app or their the whatever it is, the Roku or the Xbox version or whatever it is, but you have to have a cable subscription.
You know, the reality is, Nick, you are, you know, quite a few years younger than me. You guys are now getting your own apartments, right? Yeah. Cable is not on your mind of a priority to get, but maybe when when my age, when we were 20 years old, okay, we need internet, we need cable, we need a phone, we need a cell phone. Okay, those are the first things that we sign up for. Now cable's not on anybody's mind.
No, because they've priced themselves out of the market. I mean, literally, my internet bill is $35 or $45 a month. I don't know what it is, and I get a letter from them every month with my bill. Upgrade to cable with $69.99 introductory price with a box. I mean, I'm not gonna double the price of my bill, more than double the price of my bill for some crappy cable channels. It's just not gonna happen. That's the baseline channel. It's not everything.
Every night, you know what Jess and I watch?
What?
Can you get Rachel Madcow?
Oh, I do. I can stream that online illegally.
That's what's important.
But yeah, for example,
every night Jess and I just watch YouTube. That's it.
You watch what?
Rachel Maddow.
Yeah.
What do you watch every night?
We love him. He's such a handsome guy.
Who are you talking about?
Rachel Maddow.
Oh yes, the best. Yeah, I'm not gonna condone this type of behavior because I would never do anything like this. But if you just go on YouTube right now and search for Fox News live stream,
oh my God, on YouTube, dude,
there's handfuls of people streaming Fox and CNN and all these shit. I mean, literally right there, first click, 1,000 people watching.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something, actually. That's really funny you bring that up because that's actually the reason. That exact thing that you said is the reason why I canceled cable. Every morning I would turn on my TV, and what happened, my HDMI cable went bad for my cable box. So I just went on YouTube and I clicked on YouTube Live to see what was on, and I had like 4 streams of Fox News. It on YouTube, a stream of Fox News on YouTube, and I thought to myself, why am I paying for cable?
This stream was How about this? You talk about YouTube really not giving a crap what these people are doing. I'm watching this it's called Fox News Live Stream 3. They started streaming on November 20th of 2017. This has been streaming since November 20th. It's been up 30 days. Or so, excuse me, 20 days since they started streaming this.
I wonder if it was MSNBC who kept up.
But I mean that's like when I'm at work, if I want to watch something on Fox, I could log into my parents' Time Warner Cable account and watch it on Spectrum's web thing, or I can just go to YouTube and search for Fox News live stream or CNN live stream, and boom, there it is. Same thing with football, baseball. You can stream it all on YouTube.
So who is losing in that scenario?
CNN,
potentially losing.
The cable companies are getting screwed.
Not really,
but
because
it's their own doing.
Yeah,
totally their own doing. They have
the advertisers
themselves out of the market.
Well,
and Bruce is asking, is it ethical? It's no, it's absolutely not ethical. It's illegal. You're stealing the content. But the point is that this is what the cable companies have to compete with. Ethical or not, I can go on YouTube and probably watch ESPN live stream. Let's see. Let's see. Somebody's streaming ESPN's NFL Sunday Game Day Morning right now live on YouTube. Well, I mean, how does cable compete with that? NFL Network live stream. Let me stream the NFL Network right now on YouTube. There it is. Even better, and Andrews, NBC2 in New York.
Andrew.
He must have stepped away.
See, Mike, you could.
I'm sorry, Nick. I got some tea.
You got what?
He's busy.
Okay. So but that's what the competition. The competition is me being able to open YouTube and go to search it, pretty much get any channel I want live. Live news more. I mean, you're not going to find like I doubt you're going to find something like HGTV or anything like that live. But hey, I mean, you might.
So, Mike, here it is. Susan needed a service that has the NHL, right?
Correct.
Well, could be YouTube.
Well, but that's illegal.
It's illegal.
You're on YouTube.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's illegal.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I don't know how that works. You're streaming the illegal content. YouTube's hosting it. Is that illegal?
Yes.
If you watch, is it?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then there, it's illegal.
Wait, are you saying, are you criminally responsible for watching something on YouTube?
Correct.
I'm not sure that's ever.
So you
Then
mean
probably.
ethically?
What if you're unknowingly watching it? If shouldn't the responsibility be on the service provider?
Well, there might be something called innocent infringement, but I'm just telling you that the law is not as developed in that area as you would think. What is clear is that anyone streaming it to YouTube is responsible. That's kind of like the drug argument. Do you prosecute the people who are using drugs illegally, or do you go after the people providing it to them?
Exactly. So that's that's what Time Warner and Verizon and Comcast and Charter, that's what they all have to deal with now.
I would tell you guys, thank God I'm not into sports. If you're into sports, these cable companies have got you where they want you in many ways.
I disagree.
Hang on, Nick, don't jump in the middle of a sentence unless you're technical and know how to circumvent the system.
Right.
There's a whole bunch of people that stream that stuff illegally.
I understand that, but there are a whole bunch of people who like to watch who've never heard of doing that.
That's true.
Like, I even know someone whose grandparents are paying through the nose because they don't want to investigate alternatives.
That's a fact. Talked with them about that yesterday. Still nothing.
You know what, Mike? You're absolutely right. I have to tell you, my dad. I got him that smart TV and everything, and I've been forcing him to learn over the last couple of weeks on how to use this stuff, and it's a struggle for him. It's a struggle for him to go to Hulu and do all this stuff and to find the product. Why do you want to deal with that? If I told you that you could watch, Gotham at 8 o'clock on Fox every Tuesday, guess what? It's a much easier process for you to understand to turn something on at 8 o'clock.
I will tell you that I mentioned it last week when you weren't here, whenever it was, that I've started watching several shows. It's a long story. I've started watching several shows on Netflix, some series that are there. And we even, of all things, have started watching some This Old House shows. Somehow they disappeared from my DVR that we'd saved up. It turns out they're streamed on the Roku app PBS. So even though they're a couple of 3 weeks behind, we were able to catch up to a couple of 3 weeks ago. I really like not having these commercials in there because you know how you get aggravated with something and then over time it goes from being aggravated to being really annoying to ultimately extremely objectionable over time. I got to tell you, these drug ads are just becoming intolerable. I cannot sit here and watch all these drug ads knowing what it's doing to people and reminding me of things I don't choose to be reminded of. I'm just sick of it. And if I could pay $100 a month to be able to watch TV with no ads, I'd do it.
Isn't that great that you're paying through the nose for cable or dish or whatever, and you're still getting plastered with commercials? I mean, you talk about a great scam that those cable companies are able to run.
I mentioned it here before. I was at a university research conference out in La Jolla, California, a number of years ago. It was being held at Pfizer's facility in their conference room. There were more PhDs in there than there are in the alphabet. A lot of company people, a lot of university people. One of the guys made a presentation. He said, well, as a matter of fact, he said that the efficacy rate for the typical drug in America today is 30%. And I'm listening and I sort of halfway paying attention. Then towards when he got to the Q&A, I stuck my hand up and I said, did I understand you to say that drugs don't work for their intended purpose 70% of the time? He kind of chuckled and laughed and looked around. He said, no, I said they work 30% of the time.
There you go.
All right. So doctors misdiagnose and prescribe the wrong medication 50% of the time, meaning that of all these drug ads you see on TV, there's a good chance that they have their intended effect 15% of the time. And yet they are the number one source of advertising for electronic media is drugs. and look in magazines and look at whenever a drug company buys a full page ad, they have to buy 2 full pages of disclaimers and adverse conditions prescribing information.
Which means?
Well, which means that
they have the money.
They've got them. And here's my point. This is political. If you guys are wackos, you won't like this. It's well known that if you want to beat your competition, you defund them. It's called defund the left. I'm not for government regulations, but considering the harm that these prescription ads are doing to people who are being sucked in by them, if we're going to ban advertising for cigarettes, let's ban advertising for prescription drugs. And that
you got to add alcohol in there too.
Well, that's not illegal. It's not legal for you to go out and buy a prescription drug without a prescription.
True.
It's not just a matter. You got to go through a professional. So let's let the professional be the judge, not TV. And that will so defund CBS, NBC, MSNBC. I mean, it'll just rip them a new one.
I think this was the first season that I believe who makes Viagra? Who's the company?
Pfizer, I think.
Okay, so this was the first season that they were not I guess it'd be the title sponsor of NFL. There was a big controversy about that they did not up their contract after last season.
Do you know why?
Because people aren't watching football.
Oh,
but I mean, that was the title sponsor of football, which I guess makes sense. But starts with one, trickles down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but don't you believe that protest against football is that'll ameliorate?
Absolutely not.
Why?
Absolutely not. Because nobody's going to the games. There was a Fox, because people are sick of it. People realize
I heard the viewership was only down 7%.
Viewership is down a lot. Fox Sports had an ad out for I think it was the Detroit Lions and the Rams. They were paying people to stand behind the set of the pre-show. They had a casting call out for it.
That's very common.
Not common during football. You don't do that during football. There's so many people at these freaking games that you don't need to do that. I mean, you've got a packed house. It's bad. I don't care at all about football anymore. I really don't. Watch one game a week.
Yeah, Steelers.
Yep. But I used to watch my Sunday used to consist of watching football from 1:00 in the afternoon until about midnight when the Sunday night game got over.
So why are you turned off to it?
Because I'm just realizing I could do better things with my time than watch football. And I think I don't think that the national anthem protests and stuff was necessarily the reason. It was the spark, it was the catalyst, it was the spark that started the fire. I was talking to my grandfather the other week. Huge football fan. Because of the protests, he's like I'm not watching football anymore. Not watching football anymore.
You watching it, Andrew? He's probably not there.
Yes, I'm here.
You're watching football. Oh, why not?
No. The Giants suck.
The Giants do suck. That's a fact.
So it has nothing to do with the protest.
Watch the Steelers.
I don't. It's annoying, but no, I don't. I'm not that big on football to begin with.
That's right. You're into porn. I forgot.
I'm into pornography.
But in all seriousness, I do think that protest was a catalyst for a lot of people. And I realized, hey, I've got a whole bunch of stuff. This also may be coincide with the fact that now I live by myself and I actually have stuff I have to do on a daily basis. Not everything's just done for me.
Priorities changed.
Yeah, exactly. So that may also be a part of it. But I just have not had the motivation. Honest to God, I had to check this morning to see what time the Steelers were playing this week.
So if you had to report as to why other people are not watching, what do you think their reason is?
I think it's part of the same thing.
You think they just found? I'm not making quite the connection. I mean, I would like to think it's for the reason that I think it is, but it's that big of a deal.
I just think I think since my father was growing up, football was in the 70s. Football was what you did on Sunday. That's what Sunday was. It was football. And then you had DirecTV introduce NFL Sunday Ticket, where you in the mid 90s, where you could pay however many hundreds of dollars a year and watch every football game in your home. You didn't have to go out to a bar, and it was just Sundays was football. That's what you did. And I think this whole protest nonsense woke people up to say, hey, you know, what the hell with this. I've got stuff I can do I've got other stuff I can do on Sunday.
I think that I honestly, you may not agree. I don't think the protests had anything to do with why the decline in attendance and in the decline of viewership.
Why this year? I mean,
because every year it's been going down. It's been down 10% every year.
Yeah, but it's been nothing like. I mean, I literally saw a picture of the Thursday night game this week. Literally, the stands were empty. Thursday night.
To be honest, it's oversaturation of sports. Ticket prices have gone up ridiculously over the last couple of years, and we're at a point that it's too expensive to go, and people would rather not go. I don't think the protests have anything to do with 40,000 people not attending these games. And a lot of times, if you think about it, what was the attendance for? You know, how much is it down? Are we down 50%? If it's down 50%, we could argue the fact that, okay, you know what? There is a problem. But all the data that I've seen that says, you know, attendance is down 35%. Yeah, 35% from 4 years ago, not from, which was a peak, not from, you know, last year. We're down like 12, 13% from last year, which is kind of expected when you have a cold product. I think maybe there's a couple thousand people that are against the protest, but I'm going to tell you something. Majority of people, a lot of people don't even know that there's something big going on. People are blind.
No, people are blind, but well, I mean, I'm trying to find this picture.
Well, I mean, the bottom line here is that I do believe that it has something to do with the protests and all that, because people are pissed that those guys taking advantage of having fun or providing entertainment and exposing them to political stuff. When, come on, I'm here to watch a football game, to enjoy it. I'm not here to listen to what's going on in, you know, police brutality or whatever, or in injustice, call it whatever.
Okay.
It
I've got
has
a
to do
picture.
something to do with it. Go ahead.
Emma, can you pull that up on the live
You know,
stream?
you look at
You want me to pull it online?
Can you see that pic? Oh, you don't have the chat open there.
No.
Here, I can do it. Never mind.
Yeah.
This is a picture. This is a picture of the Thursday night football game, the Atlanta Falcons versus the New Orleans Saints the other night.
That's a lot of people.
No, it's not. Look at all the red seats.
Oh, these are. I'm looking. I thought these were people in red shirts.
No.
Oh,
Pull
so
up the
the
picture
red-
on. I put it in the chat. Pull up that picture and zoom in on it. I mean, you can see that the seats are practically empty.
Yeah, it's less than 50%.
And I'll
Okay,
give
so-
them, this is a bad game. These are two teams that aren't the greatest, but this is the start of the game. This is not the game is already over. I mean, this is kickoff. This is kickoff.
Yeah, that's
Both
terrible.
teams are on the field. That's not what football games look
that's
like. at
terrible.
kickoff.
But I mean, where they're playing in Atlanta, right?
They're playing in Atlanta, yes.
Okay, so they're playing in Atlanta. They're a third place team playing where are the
The
Saints?
Saints are doing very good this season.
Okay, so the Saints are doing good. People maybe assume that they're going to lose to them because their team is in third place. It's a Thursday night. You know, again, I think there
Actually,
is
Atlanta
a
won. It was a
percentage
very
of
close
people-
game. It was 17-20.
It was 17. Okay, but do you really think that all those empty seats? I mean, the majority of those empty seats are attributed to the protests?
No, absolutely not. I don't think most of them are, but there's got to be some clarification. This stuff wasn't. I mean, they now have the point where NFL simulcasts are going to be being blocked in home markets because the game's not selling out. That is the contract with the NFL. If a home game doesn't sell out, for example, if Andrew living in New York City, if the Giants do not sell out the home game, which is a possibility that they may not going forward the rest of the season, that game will not be available on TV in New York.
Well, the Giants and the Jets, you look at the Giants and the Jets. You know, if you look at NFL attendance over the last, I don't know, let's go 2011 to 2017. The ranking is always New York, Green Bay, Atlanta, Washington, like that's the top 10. And they're always in the top 10. And the attendance, if you look at, honestly, I'm looking at the attendance right now. Team in the NFL right now for attendance is the Atlanta Falcons. Number 1 is Dallas. Number 3 is Green Bay. Number 4 is the Giants and the Jets. 4 and 5. But you look at every year and it's almost identical. Attendance for Dallas has not changed at all.
How are they measuring? How are they
think it has to
measuring
do with if
attendance?
You're in a hot market with a hot team, you'll do well.
How are you measuring attendance? Because the one of the issues I saw was that the tickets available on the resale market has exploded, and that people are trying to get rid of their tickets each week and not go to the game. The funny part about it is,
Yes.
still,
Well, actually, you know what, Spence, you bring up a great point. So I know a little bit about the ticket business. Nick, don't smirk. Thank you. And there's a major problem with a lot of events. I mean, this is a coherent problem with all sporting events where secondhand brokers are purchasing up a lot of the seats. Actually are available are the very, very expensive ones, because they're not going to dump those. The tickets that are very expensive are always there. So let's say you're at the Garden, right? Madison Square Garden, the Knicks are playing okay. Tier or second tier tickets are always full. The problem is the secondary market purchases in bulk these other tickets, and they are now selling it at a premium. Let's say it was a $20 ticket. Now it's a $55 ticket. When you go to purchase that ticket for you, let's say Nick wants to go to a Knicks game, $55 each ticket. So now I'm at $110 plus the broker fee, which is another $25. I'm spending $150 on tickets that are actually $40. And I'm saying, screw this. Why am I going? So the secondary market, though, those ticket brokers are really killing the attendance for these. The NFL doesn't care because they got their money.
Exactly.
Tickets were sold. But now we're at a point where they have to start caring because it looks terrible on TV when you got to have, 30% below capacity arena. But the secondhand market is I think that is the driving force for these empty seats, where they're buying blocks of 20, 30,000 tickets or 20,000 tickets, and they can't offload them.
And you may think that you're tuned into NFL Today. You're not. Go ahead.
Don't use that name. That's a copyright strike right there. CBS is going to come after.
But Nick, do you agree with that at all?
Yes, no, I do agree with that. I mean, you go on StubHub, you're spending, if you buy 2 tickets, you're spending at least, for all sports, this isn't just football, this is baseball, hockey, you're probably spending $50+ in transaction and service fees. Doesn't matter what ticket you buy. The cheapest tickets still have anywhere between $15 and $25 in service and transaction fees.
Yeah, I think, I'll give you an example. The WWE is kind of aware of this because they had, they're in New York every year for SummerSlam. They do 4 nights in a row in New York. They do Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, back-to-back events. And every year there were sellouts. Every 4 day, I mean, you're talking about selling at the Barclays Center, which is about 20,000 seats.
Yeah, 4 nights in a row.
4 nights in a row. That's crazy if you think about it. Years ago, they started noticing, wait a minute, we're not selling, the tickets are sold, but it's empty in the building. And it is, so what they've done, they're being very careful on how they're releasing these tickets. They're releasing them incrementally rather than all at once, so these ticket brokers can't gobble up the tickets. Started happening with the NFL and with these, these ticket plans.
It's interesting to say the least.
I wonder where more revenue comes in. It's probably not ticket sales. It's probably TV revenue. And
it's beer and food.
Statistic, well, at the stadium. But I mean, the bigger number I think that they're more concerned about is viewership is down, and that affects your sale time, minute sale time in advertising. So your ratings directly affect how much you get per minute of advertising. So I'm looking at a report here that says that viewership, well, this is as of week 4, so this is old numbers, down by 11%. So
yeah, and the other problem you have with the NFL, and I guess we can wrap it up with this because I know we got to get on the specials and stuff, but the problem you've got with the NFL is that the numbers are sometimes inaccurate because you have bad matchups, and that's unfortunately what when you see non-sports people, you'll see political people talk about, oh, NFL ratings are down on Thursday night, and then you look and it's a crappy Thursday night game that nobody wants to watch, and that's unfortunately part of the deal. Is sometimes it's just bad games, and when you have bad games, I mean, nobody wants to watch a bad game. Nobody wants to watch two teams that are terrible. So it's not always an exact science every week, which makes it which adds just another variable into the conversation of what is it? Is it price of tickets? Is it the protests? Is it the matchups? Is it people have just got better things to do with their time? There's just a whole bunch of variables that fluctuate week by week.
So Spence, do you want to do specials now?
I can do it. I'm asking that you give me a raise, though. Not getting paid enough.
Okay.
Double it.
We'll give you some NFL tickets.
All right. For a past game.
Yeah, I'll buy some tickets on StubHub from last week's game.
That's right. That's because I love that. Okay. Computers 2K Now specials for December 10th, 2017. And we start with laptops. We've got at Best Buy, we've got an HP AMD A6 entry-level laptop, which is $30 off, $249.99, 15.6 inch. Office Depot has a Dell i7 laptop for $549. That's $250 off. And Staples has an Acer AMD A9 for $269 entry level, which is $160 off. Desktops all-in-ones. We've got 3 desktops: Lenovo Idea Center, AMD Ryzen 5 series at Best Buy for $479. It's $120 off. Office Depot has a Pavilion desktop i7 for $699, save $180. And Staples has an entry-level machine. It's a Lenovo Idea Center desktop A9 AMD for $299, which is $100 off. Tablets. I don't normally mention e-readers, but people don't realize how popular the Kindle is, especially the current Paperwhite, which is the kind of the cheaper. It's really the entry-level Kindle, but they do have them on sale. They don't often go on sale. But Best Buy has the Kindle Paperwhite for $99, which is $20 off. Office Depot has an entry-level New Vision 10.1-inch tablet for $79, which is $20 off. And Staples has the Kindle Fire 7-inch tablet for $39.99, which is $10 off. The one thing I have to say about the Kindle stuff is that the quality is there. Yeah, that you may be limited in the function of the operating system. Some of the stuff about the Kindle Fire it could be a little annoying, but if you get used to it, it's really good. It's a solid piece of hardware for the price. And if you buy it without the advertising, which doesn't make that much difference on the Kindle, it's only really there in your startup. If you buy it with the advertising, it'll save you some money. Okay, moving on to networking. Best Buy has the Linksys Velop Tri-Band Whole House Wi-Fi system. It's a 3-pack with $429. That's $70 off. Office Depot has all of their TP-Link top sellers in-store only on sale, 30% off. And Staples has the Google AC 1200 dual-band whole home Wi-Fi router for $119, which is $10 off. It's just typical, the kind of the weeks in between Black Friday and Christmas itself, where the sales are not all that great. You'll see stuff get better towards the very end. Mm-hmm. So you got to really pay attention to prices. Although this next item under storage at Best Buy, this is a good deal. This is a Western Digital 8 terabyte USB 3.0 drive for $149. That's $150 off. So it's half price. And my suggestion for using this is a lot of routers that now come with USB storage slots that make it extremely easy to share this stuff on your network. And it's if it's USB 3 and you've got a gigabit router, you're talking about some pretty significant network speeds. I have a couple of these plugged into different routers around the house, and I use them for backup, online backup. I do have a Western Digital MyCloud drive that's got a built-in Ethernet port, but the poor man's way of doing it is taking these USB drives and plugging them They appear just there in regular Windows networking, Apple networking. There's no issues with getting to it. And in the case of Windows, just attach it as a mapped drive, and you'll be set. Office Depot has a SanDisk solid state drive, 240 gig for $89. That's $26 off. If you're looking to create a fast boot machine, you don't necessarily have to keep everything on the SSD. 240 is more than enough to load the operating system in your normal programs that you use a lot. This is a pretty good price. It's not their top of the line SSD, but fast enough. Staples has a Seagate Backup Plus 5 terabyte drive with $139. I think I'd go with the 8 terabyte.
Yeah.
5 more terabytes for $10. But all right, accessories. Best Buy has an Insignia. This is for you, Amnon. It's a color LED tape that runs off of USB with a little controller. You can change the color. So we need to work on your work environment and make it a little more colorful.
That's great for under the counter in the kitchen.
That's it, yeah. But it's USB, so it's intended to be plugged into your your desktop or whatever. But it's only $20, $10 off. Office Depot has a 1500 kVA APC battery backup for $199.99. Logitech has the K480 wireless Bluetooth compact keyboard. This is talked about this before. This is the one that you can use the little rotary dial to switch between 3 different Bluetooth inputs. So if you're a multiplexer, you've got a phone, a tablet, and another machine, a PC, you can dynamically switch between the 3 with this keyboard. Very good for people who travel. That's 20 off Staples. Monitors. Best price of the day on a monitor is at Best Buy. Acer 19.5 inch for $59. It's $40 off. Now, when I say best price, that doesn't mean, that's for a 19-inch monitor. If you want something bigger, it might be a really good price, but you're going to pay more, obviously. 32-inch HD monitor from Samsung for $179, $120 off. I saw a 32-inch curved monitor over at Walmart yesterday for $199 on sale. Staples has a 27-inch HP monitor for $129. Boy, that's a deal. $120 off, half price. Printer scanners, Brother laser printer over at Best Buy for $99. So this one is it's duplex and wireless. It has a scanner. It is not a fax machine, although it's got, I think this is the wrong picture because it shows the keypad there. And I can't imagine any other reason that you would have the keypad unless it was a fax machine.
Right.
But this is advertised as the 3-in-1. So printer scanner copier. But still, the Brother line for casual use, home office, very reliable, very flexible machines.
And cheap supplies.
Cheap to run. Yes, you can buy the high capacity toner cartridge and be on operation for years before you ever have to change it.
Yep.
Good duty cycle on these machines. 70 off. Office Depot Office Max is Epson Workforce DS30 portable document scanner for $79.99. That's 70 off. What I like about this is it's very good for doing photographs because you can feed them through and it automatically crops it. And it's automatic 2-sided scanning. So, and it's USB powered, which is nice. So that's half price. And Staples has a Canon image class mono laser printer. This is a fax machine with a document feeder for $129. That's 70 off. All right, Best Buy has the Philips Hue A19 LED bulb starter kit for $69.99. Good way to get into this technology. Think of it as a good packaged gift if you want to get somebody started. Now, these are not the color
changing
variable bulbs.
Right.
These are just the dimmable bulbs, but still it comes with the bridge that you need for home automation and so on. That's $30 off the regular price. Competing with Alexa, we've got the Google Home Mini Speaker for $29, save $20 at Office Depot Office Max, and D-Link Wi-Fi network camera at Staples for $59.99, which is $10 off. And finally, I did have some time today, and I decided to dive into Fry's. It's always fun to go over there and look at their ads. 1500 kVA battery backup, 139 cyber power. That's a good deal. That's $20 instant savings. Is there a rebate too? No rebate. And also cyber power 450 VA for $39. It's pretty much what you get it for on sale. But these are both excellent quality units. The older ones used to come with lifetime warranties. I think the new ones are 5 years, something like that. But they will just, if you have a bad one, you send it to them. They'll just send you another one back and refurb. This is for you, Amnon, the Blaupunkt Wi-Fi car rear view waterproof camera. So you can actually sit there in your car and look at your smartphone and look at the image of you backing up. Record video and take photos as you're driving.
As you're driving. In the
You
rain.
got that obnoxious driver tailgating you. There you go. You can get the evidence right there. Some of these products are pretty weird. $49. They've got two KVA devices here. One is a 2-port USB DVI-D KVM with audio and microphone for $49. That's $11 off. And they've got a 2-port video splitter, simultaneous display HD quality video on 2 monitors from one PC or laptop, USB powered. So that's nice if you don't have, you want to just have it, like say on a laptop and then on a larger display. And it's very simple, $14.99. This is really the cheapest way to do this. And it is reliable. It's wired. Not going to give you a lot of flexibility, but certainly an inexpensive way to do it. LG 16X internal Blu-ray writer for $89. That's $40 off. I've got a 10 terabyte HTST NAS hard drive for $299. It's $30 off. These are really have been, I don't know if they're still as reliable now that they've been taken over by Western Digital, but they were the gold standard for high capacity, high reliability drives. I have a couple HTST laptop drives that I bought. Paid more for them, but just the ratings are always so high. Reliability, mean time to failure is so good. $30 off. This is specifically a NAS drive meant to be hammered away at. It is not just an everyday drive. But if you want to build something super reliable, here you go. And finally, as we were talking about earlier about the Intel NUC series bare bones, they have one now for here for $239, which is an Intel Core 3. It's got up to 2 terabyte hard drive. It's got, I forget how much memory you can max out, 8 gig maybe. But the point is that it comes with built-in HDMI, DisplayPort, USB 3, USB 3C. It's very flexible, and it's only 4.5 inches square by 2 inches high. So very small form factor, $239. And that's it for specials today, December 20th, 2017. Next week, we'll do the cool gifts or wacky gifts for Christmas edition of specials. And there you have it.
Did you say wacky?
Wacky, yes.
Okay.
Sometimes we get some pretty wacky gifts out there. Heck
Thanks,
gifts.
friends.
So, not talking about, the LED lighted toilet paper holder that lights up when you sit down in the dark. I'm not talking about that.
All right. 919-518-9773, Computers 2K Voice on Skype. Jeremy Hunt has publicly attacked Facebook for releasing a version of its Messenger app aimed at children and called on the social media company to stay away from my kids. The health secretary accused the company of targeting younger children after Facebook announced on Monday that it was conducting trials of an app called Messenger Kids in the U.S., which is designed to be used by preteens. He said the company was failing to act responsibly despite having assured the government that it would not target its service at children who can only use the main social media website if they are over 13. So this is interesting that a government official will actually come out and tell them, stay away from my kids. Why do you have a messenger for preteens? I mean, what is that? You are targeting kids. And what's going to happen next? Every pedophile is going to be on that. What?
Okay, that's a bit of a stretch. What they're doing is they're trying to compete with services like WhatsApp and Snapchat and stuff. They're trying to compete with messaging apps that younger kids are using. People don't use Facebook Messenger to chat.
Right.
They use Snapchat or WhatsApp or it's something else. They're not using. That's what they're trying to compete with. I mean,
well, I don't know. It still seems to be like something that is targeting kids because you're putting them in a place where other people can go and prey on them.
I mean, I guess you can make the same argument about anything else, though, too. I mean,
yes, you can. Absolutely.
That's
absolutely
the problem.
All right, let's see who called in.
It's Gene.
Hey, Gene, what's up?
I got a story to tell you about my iPhone 8. If you're interested, I thought it was quite interesting.
I can't hear him, man.
I know. Go ahead.
You can't? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All
Yes.
right.
Go ahead.
I had an interesting thing happen with my iPhone 8 yesterday that I thought might be interesting to people that have iPhones. I got an iPhone 8 a couple of weeks ago, and as I usually do, I get a magnetic charging cable. So I don't have to, look around for the little hole and that kind of stuff. I can just put it there, and it connects very quickly. And so yesterday, I thought, well, I had some pictures on there that I took recently that I wanted to put on my computer. So I took it with that magnetic cable, and it's USB. And I took it up to my main computer. I plugged it in, and I transferred the photos over, imported them over into my pictures file on my computer, and everything was fine. And then I thought, well, I'm hooked up. I might as well go to iTunes and do a complete backup. So I opened up iTunes and I did a complete backup, and I got a message on iTunes that said, we have an update for your iPhone, 8.2 or something like that update. You want to do it? Well, I usually do these updates offline with my phone, but I thought, well, it's hooked up, so I'll go ahead and do it. So it started running, and lo and behold, I got an error. And the error said that they just couldn't finish this process, and I would have to reset restore my iPhone to factory settings, and then basically import not import, but basically go to the cloud where my backup was and restore. I tried to do that, I couldn't do it, so I called them, and I got a very good service person I waited a while, but I got a good service person from Apple on. And the first thing is, how about trying another USB port? Try another USB port, same thing. By the way, by this time, my phone was locked into what they call, I guess, restore mode, and so I couldn't open it. I couldn't do anything. So the phone was just useless at this point. So, well, then, how about, let's see, is your computer up to date? Oh, yeah, my computer's up to date. Let's go check the firewall and make sure you aren't basically blocking something. Went and checked that. Went through a whole bunch of stuff like that. Try another USB port. Do you have another cable? Yeah, I said, I got a couple of cables. They were all the magnetic ones, though. So I went and got another cable. And I said, look, I got multi-computers. So if you think it's the computer part, you think it's my computer that's the problem, I'll go try it on another computer. Okay, yeah, let's go do that. So I tried it on 2 other computers. Same problem. Finally, they said, I don't know, I either had to get going or whatever. And finally, they said, we'll call you back tonight and work on the problem more. When they called back, I got a young man on that was very knowledgeable, I thought. And we went through all the same stuff again. He went through everything, I told him what was going on. And he said, all of a sudden, after an hour and a half on the phone, he said to me, "Do you have the original cable, USB and cable that came with the iPhone Plus? That's not non-magnetic." I said, "Yes." "Can you get it?" "Yep." I went and got it, plugged it in, and guess what? Everything worked. I could restore and bring everything back, my own iPhones back in place. So there's a difference.
That makes sense.
In the case. There's a difference. So now, I know I can charge with those magnetic cables, and you can charge with the the iPhone 8. You can charge basically by just putting it on one of those anchor chargers. You don't even have to plug it in. But I wouldn't try updating through iPhones with anything but the original cable. I almost couldn't believe it, but that was the answer. I mean, we looked at everything, and I think I spent 3.5 hours on that problem yesterday.
Did he have
So
any?
if anybody's got, excuse me.
Did he have any explanation why it works with one and not the other?
He said there's a difference in there's a difference in the cable. He said that it's their software is incompatible apparently with that connection.
Wow.
But not on everything. Not on everything. I mean, because that connection allowed me to move the photos, and that connection allowed me to back up. Thank God it allowed me to back up because I needed that backup. Well, I wouldn't have lost much because it's always automatically backing up to the cloud. But so I wouldn't have missed much. But still, that cable would not allow the phone to basically restore and go back and restore. It would not allow it to do it.
Well, good to know for those using iPhones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, I just thought that was a kind of interesting technical thing that happened yesterday.
Other than
I also, by the way, have stopped watching the NFL for two good reasons. One is I was a Giant fan, and the second is the kneeling. And so I canceled my NFL ticket, and I'm not watching any football games. And you know what? I'm not missing them. Like Nick said, I got other things I can do.
And I think that's the key right there. That's what Gene just said, and that's what I forgot to say. You realize that once you start doing something, I don't know about you, Gene, but my Sundays used to be football from 1 o'clock. Actually, the pregame shows start at noon, from noon until midnight. I mean, you watch football all day. That's just what you do, and you just realize, there's other stuff to be going on. And it's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay, guys.
All right, Gene.
Merry Christmas,
thanks.
Gene.
See you, Gene.
Righto. Take care.
Talk to you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Amnon, are you going to be dressing up for the Christmas Eve show this year?
And we're going to be dressing up.
Dressing up.
Will you dress up as
He
Santa?
always dresses up.
Do you have a Santa costume by any chance?
No.
He's going to have a red and green jumpsuit.
Spence, do you have a Santa costume you could loan to Amnon?
A Santa costume?
Yeah.
I have a Santa
Hey,
hat.
Nick, do you have?
I do not have a costume. Well, I do have a costume, but I don't have access to it.
Why?
Actually, no, I will have access to it. I will be home.
You
Oh, maybe
will be
I'll dress up
home.
as
I was
Santa.
just going to say, yeah. So you can be the Santa.
Perfect. What?
Okay.
Do I have a budget to buy things for people?
You have an unlimited budget.
Oh, excellent.
Oh, you,
Amnon.
Spence, you were talking about the hue bulbs and all that,
Yes.
and I gotta say that those E-Tech City, Nick, that we got,
Yep,
they work so nice, without a hub,
excellent.
without anything. They work great.
Hopefully, my parents get some use out of it.
So if you don't care about dimming lights, you can use these outlets to turn the lights off and on, and you don't need to get the hub or a hub to mediate between Alexa and it. It's those
These are
E-Techs.
Wi-Fi enabled bulbs.
Yeah, no, these are not bulbs. These are outlets.
Oh, the switches. I'm sorry. Out switches. Yeah.
Yeah.
Outlets too.
They are Wi-Fi. And it works great. package.
Heard a bunch of people have gotten those and
to
have really
throw that
liked
in.
it. There was a great deal on those smart switches. The ones that TP-Link sell are expensive. Holy moly, those things will run you $45 a piece.
My son has his whole living room. I think he's got 10 overhead fixtures with PAR bulbs in them that are all color tunable, and he's created all the different scenes for it. But so he has it where the phone rings, it'll flash different colors, and he's spent a lot of time working on it.
You see, and this is the issue kind of with the home automation stuff with those smart things. Most of the stuff right now is a gimmick. The same thing with 3D. It was a gimmick, right? I mean, it was just, what's the actual use for some of these things?
I would say just to turn stuff off and on.
Yeah.
You know, the lights, you know, you can turn off and on your window air conditioner, or, you know, you don't want to hook it to your refrigerator. But for little things that you do all the time, turn off and on, it's great.
I have a project that's bubbling away in my brain about how I'm going to improve the lighting in my kitchen without going to great lengths at tearing my ceiling open and running wire. So I currently have it's essentially a light box. They built a box that was maybe 5 feet long by about 3 feet wide and put a screen inside with a couple of 48-inch bulb fixtures and fluorescent fixtures. And it's just a single, you know, it's just controlled by a switch on and off. Very boring, not very bright. I'm thinking about either upgrading it to LED and just leaving it, or changing it, making it bigger, making it the same size as the island I have in my kitchen, and then adapting it with all kinds of different fixtures and drop down pendants and all that. The problem is I still only have one circuit going to it. So if I can come up with a plan where I can have programmable stuff that it can be easily controlled, I don't want to have to run from my phone to turn the lights on. So I'm just figuring out now what I'm going to do. I think I might just run more wire, bite the bullet, and that way would make it, I can actually control it from the wall switch with intelligent switches and intelligent bulbs too. That's the point, is that I'd like to have something tunable.
Don't put too much intelligence into the room.
No, you'll start talking back to me.
Then you're screwed.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
So,
don't put that ingredient into what you're baking. Try this.
Oh yeah, that's scary.
So listen to this.
Amnon, you want me to talk about my migration experience from this week?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I have my desktop that I use for my business. It's not sophisticated. It's old. It's an old Dell D630 laptop, dual core. It's Vista vintage in age, and I've been using it for years. It's in a Dell dock, worked great, but it's long in the tooth, and I'm thinking, you know, something's going to happen. I've already replaced the system board in it because it had an issue with the onboard graphics, that the heatsink was not touching the chip properly, and it would fry the controller. So I wound up, they had two controller manufacturers. One was Intel and one was something else. I don't remember. It might have been an NVIDIA. But I wound up replacing the system board with the one that didn't require a heatsink, and since then it's been fine. But I'm thinking, you know, I don't really want to have to deal with this if it just cooks off, and then I have all my files backed up, but I don't have anything cloned. So Amnon gave me an old i3 desktop, which I decided I was going to clone my operating system over to it. And this was a Windows 10 upgraded from Windows 7 Home. And so I cloned the drive, set the new machine up, actually got online, did all the updates, got it working. I downloaded the, how did I do this now? I'm trying to remember exactly. I was able to get an image, and, well, it doesn't matter what I did as far as what the version of Windows 10 that was running. I actually logged in, took the license off the laptop. You can go in and there's a command line. You go in and basically pulls the license off, puts it into demo mode. And then that license, if you're logged into Microsoft, your digital license is saved for that device. So I went in and I said, I went to the point where I said, I'd like to move the license over from another machine, or activate. And it said, did you recently make hardware changes? Yes, I did. So I click on that. It says, all right, log in and look for the machine that you're trying to license. So I found what was the Dell machine. I click on it and just no explanation, nothing happens. Would not respond, just nothing. I'm like, what is going on here? It just will not activate. No reason why. So I was going to get on the phone with Microsoft. I actually called, and I think it was in the queue, and it was like the best thing to do would have them call you back tomorrow. And I was like, no, I don't have time for this. So I started to do some research on it. It turns out that if you've migrated from Windows 7 or Windows 8 to Windows 10 during the free upgrade, if you had a license that was a retail license that you purchased, you're fine. You can move it. You can move it once. If you did it from an OEM, like a laptop that came with installed Windows before, you can't move it. Not allowed to. It's not part of the agreement. As it turns out, the version of Windows I was using, 7, was an upgrade from XP, where I bought a 3-license bundle to upgrade 3 machines from XP to 7. So it did not qualify, which is why I could not get this license to migrate. No explanation as to why. I figured it out myself. So what I did was, and I was very happy with the way this worked, I actually had an old Windows 8.0 license that Amnon had given me, 8.0 Pro, not for resale, sample or ones they'd send out to the technical community to evaluate. So I said, let me give this a try. So I said, going back to the machine, put in a new license key, put that in. Immediately it comes up and says upgrading. So I was able to use that license to upgrade to Windows 10 Pro, and everything is happy. So up until last week, people didn't know about this, but you could still do a stealth upgrade from Windows 7 and 8 to Windows 10. It was still out there if you knew where to look. You could not go through the upgrade tool. You had to go, and there was a procedure you could do, but they just last week canceled it. So it's no longer available. The only people who can still do the upgrade is if you have some type of accessibility issue, meaning you need to have a screen reader or you need to have a some special add-on device functionality. You can still upgrade, but very interesting. So I'm happy the machine is working well. I have a second drive in there, which I am cloning to now with Acronis on a regular basis, so that if it does die, I can go to one of my file repositories, just collect the documents, the new documents I've created, and just drop this, switch over to the other drive, and I'm still in business. So.
And if you still need to upgrade to 10, scdkey.com, you can get a license for 3 or 5 machines for about $30-some.
Legitimate?
As far as I mean, if
what's the web page?
scdkey.com. I mean, they've been there for a long time, and I would imagine if they weren't legitimate, they would be closed by now.
That's Fox, Charlie, Dog, Tango?
S as in Sam.
Oh, S, okay.
SCD.
Because the other one is just a bunch of...
doesn't matter what the other one is.
Chinese characters. All right, I got it.
Yeah, so you can search for Windows 10, and I'm talking about Windows 10 Professional. So, it's still possible to do for cheap. You don't have to spend $100 or $200 to do it. All right, it's that time of day again. Anything else anybody wanted to add here? Nick, Mike?
Nope.
Okay. Mike, did you get my message in Skype about those 2 microphones?
I did. Why are you interested
I don't
in
know,
those?
because I always like to keep spares if something happens, and I didn't know if they were worth anything.
You probably got, what, 30 spares already?
No, I don't. I actually only have 1 spare.
Okay, well, I'm close by. You don't need any more.
Well, I know, but I mean, when you're looking at $11,
You're close by. You don't need them. Those are junk. Those
okay,
microphones
so they're
you
junk.
bought are
That
junk.
that was the question that I wanted to know.
If you're going to do a remote from the ocean and anticipate throwing it in the ocean when you're done, then get one.
No, they're not waterproof. That's the problem.
I understand.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody. That was great. Thanks for waking up early to be here. Spence, Mike, Nick. And good morning, Kathy and Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie, and Donna. Thanks, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing. Back up your hard drive and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. And while you're at it, like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Tonight at 7, Nick Craig is hosting Against the Norm on Wilmington's Big Talker 106.7, and you can listen to it anywhere on TuneIn. See you, everybody.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.